So in here, if you look into tools, right? Let me just make this one in 2 columns. So this is selection tool. And first few, it's all about selection. Well, this 3 tools are all about selection. And then under here, type tool and those 3 tools underneath it. Those are all about vector graphics. Type is vector graphics. I just would like to remind you, type is a vector graphics. It is not a pixel based. It is a vector graphics. So you've been using vector graphics without not really aware of it. Okay? So this is vector graphics, and this one is a pen tool that we're going to work on. And then this one is a path selection tool. If you look into a tools palette, I am actually going to change this one to reset photography. Here, layers. You've been working on layers. And channels where you create the masks, then that is also a place that you save the other channels. And then path, that is where you save your vector graphics information. And again, those 3 tools, type, pen tool, and path selection tools, those are all about vector based. It's not as intuitive as I would like the path tool to be or pen tool to be, but once you get hang of it, it's not so bad. For example, if you try to create the outline along this edge, say, right? I'm choosing this pen tool and I'm selecting path here. There are path and then shape, but path is what you like. And you can create the path here. It's like handle comes out, and then that would change the shape of the path. And here, you can change the shape of the path here. And create that. So I have the line along this heel. And if you like to put the text along that, and you've done this, or you will do this in the one of the lesson, that in here you can actually type things. Type tools is, well, it's so little. Let me just put that one a little bit larger. Is based on the vector graphics, not raster graphic, or something like that. So you can write along the path. If you have a circle, then you can have all the writings along the circle. Say, if you like to create the logo using that tool with the path, you can do that too. I mean, there are a lot of things you can think of doing. I'm going to, yes?
The selection tools are selecting pixels? Are they selecting, or do they both, can they toggle between the two?
So the selection tools, there are 2 selection tools, right? Or I would say, yes, this one is the path selection tool. So this is only a selection for a vector. And those selections are selecting the rasters and the pixel information. Okay. I'm going to close this, get rid of that, and I'm going to actually get rid of that. Another test that I would probably like to do is a document size test. Say I'm going to just create the edge of this. Okay. I'm trying to create the frame using the the raster graphics. I'm going to just fill the selected area with solid color black, and I'll say OK to it. Now, if I look at the file size, it says document in 1.03 megabyte / 1.37 megabyte. After that slash, that is the size increased because of the way that because I use the vector the raster graphics. So it's increasing 1/3 of the file size just because I created the raster information. Okay, I'm going to actually create a snapshot of this, and going back to open, so get rid of that. So now back to 1.3 megabyte and 1.3 megabyte, nothing is happening yet. I'm going to try to do exact same thing using vector graphics this time. Okay. Some other vector graphics tools are hidden, actually, by the way. The rectangle tool, rounded rectangle, all those shape tools are also vector graphics. That is hidden underneath the very end of the toolbox. If you hold it, then it expands and all the way at the end. Those 6 tools, those are also vector graphics. I'm going to go to rectangle tool, and I'm going to go to shape fill with color, because that's what I'm trying to do. And then I will try to be as close as possible. Was it something like that, maybe? Close enough, right? The way that it's creating the frame using the vector graphics here would not add any extra memory, because it is mathematic based and it's not a memory intensive. Same thing though, it's here. It's the, let's compare. I'm going to make another snapshot. So snapshot 1 did have a color fill with the mask, and it's 1/3 of the memory is added. Raster graphics. But vector graphics, nothing. I mean, if you start to have a gigabyte or terabyte informations, it probably will add a little bit, but still it's a significant difference. So you like to look into that as a, differences between the raster graphics and the vector graphics. Questions? Okay. Let's play a little bit together. Why don't you, everyone, go into Bridge. And let's start with, you know what? Let's open Ducky. Let's open Ducky. So if you go to Bridge, you should be able to find favorites, and you see sample CS3. Inside of that, you should be able to find Ducky. And once you find Ducky, let's open that. I'm going to close the dune. And if Ducky is cute and small, let's just zoom in so that it's big enough. Maybe that's too big, actually. Everyone has a Ducky on? Not yet. All right. So before we get into Ducky, I'm gonna make a white canvas. I'm gonna pull out the layers palette so that everyone can see. Everyone, we haven't done this for a while. Let's go to a photography workspace on the top right and reset it so everyone has the same workspace. I pulled out the layers palette for you to see, but you can keep it up down here in the bottom right. In the layers palette at the bottom, if you click on and go to solid color, I would like to have just white canvas. And it becomes black. I just would like to put all white. It's just click onto the top part. That would be okay. So you see is, not the Ducky, but, and then say okay. So all you see is white. The solid color at the bottom. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to pull out the grid. Show from the view top menu. Let's go to view and find grid. So you see the grid. It's just a visual reference, but this helps when you are trying to kind of see and find out the move that you're trying to do. Okay? And let's see, find the pen tool, the first one, pen tool. When you select the pen tool, there are options for pen tools. There are paths, shape. Shape will fill with the colors, which I'm not really looking for. I'm just kind of looking for a path so that you can see how this pen tool works. So we're doing the exercise. You can combine, subtract, intersect, exclude. You can do many things with lines, but just leave it as it is. And you can align it. You can bring the path to foreground to background. Auto add and delete is checked for the default, and I'll just keep that as is. Important thing here is path. Just make sure that path is selected. And we'll start. First, if you can look at it, I'll start with finding the cross section of the feather grid. And I click onto that. Click. And then you can see how it creates the anchor point. Just look. I'll do this a few times. So once it is created, then I'm going to move to 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I'm going to go into this corner too. Click, and then this time the line is made. I'm not letting go of my mouse actually. Before I let go of it, I pulled out the handle. There's a handle. You can move to change the shape of the arc. When you move the handle, you like to hold on to Option key, and then you can see how cursor, when I come over to the handle, the cursor becomes this hook, and I can move the handle. You can see how that handle, when I move to the right side, the arc kind of follows me. If I would like to bring this one back, I'll bring that back. You can move it like that, right? I'm gonna just stick it to this point and leave this one to this point, maybe. Maybe I'm gonna, well, sure. And then let go of my option bar. Now my cursor becomes just a pen tool again. And I'm gonna create another anchor point. So you can see anchor point is square, handle is circle. Circle. Do you see the differences? It's kind of small. And if you like to continue from here to the next one, it's helpful if you click onto it to let this anchor know that I'm continuing. And then you can go to this point. Maybe I should have been a little closer. I'm trying to create the circle, which is not really how it is happening. So I'm going to move this. This anchor should have been in here. So if you like to move this, you like to hold on to Command key, then this time my cursor, not really the pen tool, but it's the selection mark. Then I can move this one on here, this point. If I like to move this handle, Option, move that, so that it started to become nice and kind of erky, clean. I'm gonna actually put this one back to where it is. Maybe it should have been this one. I'll move that again. Command. If I hold Command, then the cursor becomes the selection tool. I move that. Oops. I move this guy. And that's now perfect. If I like to move the handle, then Option, and that can change the shape of the arc. But I like to make it perfect circle, so I'm going to put it back to where the anchor is. Looks like that's a perfect area. John?
When you created the bottom half of that circle, why didn't it draw a straight line? Why did it automatically put a curve in there?
Because I already had this handle that is connected to the anchor before, and this handle is shaping the half of this arc. So if this one is here, then it will make a straight. But I already put this one out. So this handle is about also controls the half of this arc. Yeah. So it's kind of all interconnected. I'm going to come over to this, the last anchor point, and click to let this anchor point know, okay, this is where I'm starting. And then this time, try not to make a mistake. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm going to go into this section and click straight line. So I'm going to try to pull out the handle. Seems like that. This is bothering me. I would go back with Option. So now I have a hook. Change that to the anchor point. Click on to the last anchor point. And then come over here. You can see how when I come over to the last anchor point to close off my path, you can see that circle right next to my path, right? Now I'm closing it. If you come over here right now to the existing anchor point, you can see how it creates a pin minus. If I click right now, I lose that anchor point. If you like to add, when you come over to the path, see how it has plus mark. I can click and then I can add the anchor point. I can move that. Well, I cannot move that. I'm creating the handle. I can move that using the move tool, holding on to command and move it. When you use this tool, your hand should be holding on the keyboard at the same time, Option and Command, because you're going to use Option and Command at the same time when you're fine-tuning the path. I'm going to get rid of that and that, and let's start together. So you like to start with just to click one point to create just to click one, and I'm just letting go of my mouse, and I'm gonna move 1, 2 and 1, 2 down. So I'm finding this crossover section and click and don't let go but drag to take out the handle. Okay? If you like to move the handle, hold Option and come over to the circle, that handle, the tip of the handle that has a circle. Then your cursor becomes like a hook. Then you can move that. And you can see how what kind of moves it makes, right? You can move another handle the same way. Hold Option, come over to the handle, the circle tip, and as soon as your cursor becomes that hook, then grab that and move. This time, nothing happens to the half of that arc. I'm going to just put it there. So I have the perfect kind of quarter part of the circle. You can always come back to that. When you make another anchor point, it's always safe to tip into the last anchor point that you created. And then you can see if you come over to the last anchor point you created, the pen tool has this kind of sharp slash kind of mark to it. Kind of click on it, letting this anchor point know that I'm continuing. And then I'll come over to 1, 2, 1, 2. So it's just directly below where you started, and click. This time probably just clicking will make it perfect half circle. So you probably don't have to do anything there. The third one, I'm gonna go 1, 2, and 1, 2. So I'm gonna go to this crossover area and click and drag. You might have to just kind of twist it to make sure that the handle, you can kind of get the hang of how you can make the cleaner edge. If it's not working, you can always come back and then readjust the handle by holding on to Option, come over to the handle. You can change that, move that, so that it looks clean. Because I moved handles, I've let the last anchor point know that I'm going to go and continue by just clicking onto the last anchor point I created. And the very last one, you just need to go to where you started, and you should see your pen tool with circle under the right side of the pen. And click, and it's done. This selection can be converted with shape if you like to. Well, I think I lost my shape. Yeah, I do lose it. Hold on a second. Select it. What was your question?
Like you don't have to hold anything on the keyboard. You just hover over it, click on it, and then just click up here.
Yep. So if you like to come over, say this is a halfway, but this is where you are, and come over, hover over, and click to activate it, and then come over to another point, click, and then you might need to, because that's the third one. It's slightly different. You just need to click and then move out the handle, that's all. Before you let go of it. All right, and then that pass is saved in the path palette. And if you like to save that, you can double click onto the path palette, and then you can change the name path 1 demo, and then say OK, and that is saved in here. If you like to make that selection into, say, selection, then you can load a selection based on your path, or you can create the mask, or you can do other things too. I'm going to deselect this, and I'm going to get rid of this white color fill. And you know what I'm going to ask you probably. Trace the duck. And then when you trace the duck, what I would try to do is this grid is kind of in the way. So I'm going to go into View from the top menu, Show and Hide the Grid. Hide the grid. So you don't have the grid over duck and it's easier to select it. You can have a lot of anchor point, by the way. Like you can have a lots and lots of anchor point like this to create a shape. Oh, this is a shape. I'm going to change it to path actually. You can create lots and lots of anchor point, but this is not how I recommend it. When you start to have so many anchor point, every time you create the anchor point, the edge is not smooth. So that is not the way you like to go about it. I'm going to get rid of that. The way that the path works is kind of pre-visualize how the one arc can be done. So I'll start with this corner, this point, click. And then I kind of pre-visualize maybe this is one arc that I can do with one stroke. So click and then kind of move the handle out. Doesn't have to be perfect. We can always come back and then readjust it. So instead of having millions of anchor point, you like to have little by little. I can also see another arc here. Possibly I could pull it, but I'm going to have another arc around here. Click and then drag. But then it looks crazy here. I'm going to go back to the handle, hold Option. That would give me the hook, and that would let me fine tune the arc. Let me fine tune the arc. And then I'm going to have another arc. So just kind of pre-visualize arc and then how you can smoothly create. And you can always come back and then readjust it too. And if it gets really crazy, it may be better to not try to fix it, but just get rid of the anchor point. If you click to select it, you can hit delete and that anchor point will go away. And then if you keep clicking, then everything will go away. And start fresh and do some practice. Again, this isn't really anything that is intuitive to me. So just take your time and do some practice and then fine tune it. Pre-visualize how one arc can create the smooth line. All right, we're gonna have a break after we do this. So most of you guys created the line drawing of the ducky outside. In lesson 8, you will be outlining a coffee cup and creating the logo for coffee company, I think. In here, what you like to do is to select the entire line drawing. It's all highlighted, all of them. If it is not, you can go into Past Selection tool and you can just kind of grab the entire area so that all the lines are highlighted. So when you have this highlighted line, the outline, the line drawing, you can go to Edit from the top menu. And then define custom shape. And it asks you to name it. Ducky. So I just created the ducky shape. That shape is saved under a shape tool. Shape tool is hidden underneath this bottom of the toolbox. If you click the custom shape tool, will let you bring in that shape that you created. I'm going to go over here, custom shape tool. There are lots of custom shape that is predefined, but you just created your own custom shape, and that is Ducky. If I come over to the Ducky tool, I can this time go into shape. I can fill with different colors. If I can select it, which it's not really letting me select it. And if you come over, you can start to have duckies as a shape. Hold on. I can't select it. I don't really want to have a black ducky. Maybe I'd like to have a yellow one. If I come over to the other shape that I already created, I can change that color to, I'm going to do RGB, red. And this one, I'll change it to green. And then that yellow ducky will make it to blue. RGB ducky. So you can start to create this one as a stamp or, logo. And you will do this in lesson 8, working on the other cup.
I still see jagged edges.
Jagged edges, yes, you do see. Because we are bound with a resolution of the monitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that in.
Yeah.